Good morning, everyone. Oh, no. Come on, this is an education summit. Let's try that again. I won't make you say good morning, Mr. Metcalf, but good morning, everyone. Good morning. That was better. We can move forward. I need to start, first of all, by thanking you all for taking the time to come. We are all in this room deeply committed to the education of Nevada's children, to making sure we all do whatever we can to improve that. And I hope that as the day goes on, you are both engaged and, I will admit, challenged a bit in your thinking about how we move forward. I had some other comments that I had hoped to make, but just before I walked up here, Sheila, as she often does, says, please don't talk too long. So I'll move forward. The goal for today is to showcase the current and potentially forthcoming opportunities and successes that lie before us. Before we get started, there are a few people I would like to recognize as our special guests today. And I will note that some of them may not have arrived yet, but I'll ask you to hold your applause until we're done. Clearly, one of our primary speakers, and we're delighted to have him here today, is Governor Brian Sandoval. Governor Sandoval, thank you. I don't know if she's here yet, but from the U.S. Secretary of Education's office, advisor to the U.S. Secretary of Education, delegated duties of the Assistant Secretary, Office of Elementary and Secondary Education, Ann Whalen. Ann, are you here yet? I think her flight was coming in this morning. Chief Strategy Officer, and someone I would consider a friend, the Office of the Governor, Dale Arqueaga. Dale. From the Nevada System of Higher Education, we have several regents, including Chairman Regent Trachuk, Regent Sam Lieberman, and Regent Kevin Melcher. I don't believe he's here yet today, but Chancellor Dan Claich will be here later this afternoon. We have several legislators, state legislators with us. Senator Joyce Woodhouse. Joyce, wonderful. Assemblywoman Irene Bustamante Adams. Haven't seen her yet. She may not be here yet. Former First Lady Sandy Miller, also a good friend of mine. Camber Daverin from Senator Reed's office. Camber. And I just need to note, Senator Reed's office has been working with us for about 2 years, long before even Camber got there, to try to pull this event together, so we really appreciate your help. Thank you. Sarah Wagner, Office of Senator Crescent Hardy. Sarah, thank you. Keith Hughes, Office of Congressman Joe Heck. Thank you. In just a moment, I'll introduce him formally, but our president, UNLV President Len Jessup, Dr. Jessup. Acting Executive Vice President and Provost Nancy Rappaport. They're too shy to stand. They're not used to being in front of people, I think. Vice President of Research and Economic Development, Tom Piota. Tom, are you here yet? Not here yet. Vice Provost of Undergraduate Education, Chris Heavey, who I saw way in the back. Thank you. There are several UNLV deans, colleagues of mine and friends of mine. I would ask those deans, UNLV deans, please just to stand and thank you for coming. Only one of them was brave enough to do it. That's okay. I'll get you for that. We have several Nevada school superintendents. Some of them are on the program. Nevada school superintendents, if you would just stand for a moment, please. There we go. Great. Thank you. And I want to make sure at the outset that we thank folks who have supported this from the beginning. WIN Las Vegas has been a huge supporter, not only of this, but of other efforts related to education in the community. They've been a great support of the Teacher Pipeline Consortium that we've held. Thank you. Nevada Public Radio has been a great partner for this. Clark County School District, Silver State Schools Credit Union, Las Vegas Global and Economic Alliance, Glenn and Andy Christensen. Thank you all. Please join me in giving them a round of applause. Thanks again to everyone for being here today. We're glad you're here now as we dive into a discussion about moving education in Nevada forward. In the vein of continual discussion on the advancement of education, I'd like to invite my colleague, and UNLV President Dr. Len Jessup to the stage. Dr. Jessup, the 10th President of UNLV, is dedicated to leading UNLV to become a high-performing, community-engaged, Tier 1 university. Please join me in welcoming President Jessup.
Well, thanks, Kim, and thanks, everyone, for coming. First, I've got to say it's amazing to see this group assembled. I know this has been a couple of years in the making, and I'm pleased to see a great turnout for the inaugural event. Ensuring a quality education for all Nevadans means that we've all got to come together to do that, and that is the purpose of this event, is connections among all of you. We've got representatives from the education side, a few of which were willing to stand up, and many of whom didn't, and from government and private industry, and from nonprofit and related community organizations as well. I want to thank everybody for coming together today to work together in figuring out how education gets to the next level in ways that helps to take the state to the next level as well. As I mentioned, or as Kim mentioned earlier, and I've mentioned probably 1,000 times over the last 11 months, we are working very hard to be a top-tier university. We've got a bold strategic plan in place now that we're implementing to do that. There are 5 pathway goals on research and teaching and medical school and community partnerships and improving our own infrastructure. And this clearly weaves together many of those pathway goals, and in particular, the pathway goal around student success and achievement and around community partnership. I can't think of a better way to capture the spirit of the strategic plan than what we're doing here today. We've made a lot of headway on the strategic plan over the last several months. It was a big week for UNLV last week along those lines. Woven throughout the strategic plan is expansion, expanding our role, expanding our impact, and expanding the campus's footprint. And I want to say thank you to our regents and to a number of other folks here in the audience that helped to get the approval. The regents approved for us to purchase 42 acres nearby campus to help with that expansion. It's huge for the campus. Thank you. And then we followed it that night, Friday night, with a great win against Oregon. The governor was there, and he's our good luck charm. I said now he's got to be at every home game. It's inescapable. We need to have you there. And, you know, honestly, the best thing that capped that day for me was after the Regents meeting and the outcomes that were so great, and then the game that night, I got to go into the locker room with the team that night to say a few words and to celebrate them with them for just a brief moment. But the beautiful ending to the day was Ben Carter, many of you know, local kid from Gorman who actually went to Oregon and then came back again. And it was a very emotional moment for Ben Carter in the locker room with everybody. And I asked him if he felt good about his decision to come back to the community and to UNLV. And with tears in his eyes, he expressed that how happy he was to come back and how satisfying it was to experience that win. Quite a night. When I first met Governor Sandoval, and I'm not doing the introduction, but I do want to make a remark or two about the governor. I got here 11 months ago, started work on, I actually think I was hired one week, packing the car and putting the house on the market the next, driving here the following week with Christy right after New Year's Day, started work on the 5th, attended your State of the State, and then we met for our first meeting together shortly after. And it was clear that you are committed to education in this state and that you recognize the power of education all the way through, from K through 12 all the way through higher education, the power in education in elevating the state economically and socially and in so many other ways. That was clearly carried through in the legislative session with really landmark legislation and a lasting impact with all of the money that was directed toward education in the state. Any governor around the country would have been happy to have that kind of legislative session. Few have. Any governor would have been happy to say that's good enough. That was a big push and a great outcome, but we're going to rest there. And I know that you will not. And you've said that this next session is also important for the state, and particularly in terms of education. We all look forward to working with you in the next session as well. I can't tell you how happy and proud I am to be in this state and working with all of you, and in particular you, Governor Sandoval. It's a great time to be here in the state of Nevada. So, yeah, I agree. Thank you. And a great sports fan as well, mostly Ohio State, but he was good for us, and they win against Oregon Friday night. What I'm going to do next is, rather than doing the full introduction, I'm going to bring up someone to do that who is well known to this audience and was mentioned earlier. Dale Urquiata, the Chief Strategy Officer for the governor, will do the honors of a formal introduction and setting up his remarks. And I got to know Dale better this summer traveling on the trade mission in Europe with the governor and others, and got to see, really was quite a trip for me, and seeing how everything economically and socially in terms of education and workforce training and how everything is woven together, how it's all so vitally important together in moving forward each of the countries that we visited, and learned a lot that we brought back now here to Nevada, and in particular to Southern Nevada. And I got to learn a bit about Dale and the way that he thinks, and I can't think of a better role for him to be in than the one that he's in now. So please, a warm welcome for Dale Urquiata.